The building that was once Conkey's Bookstore in downtown Appleton is getting a facelift. Pauleen Lee is there live checking out the work in progress. Good morning.
Well, good morning. I'm actually hanging out with the owner, Will. Will, this is going to be your new home. Where are we standing at the moment?
Well, I think we're in the kitchen. In fact, this is going to be our funky backsplash.
Funky backsplash. We've been focusing on it all morning. Let's talk about it again. You told us this morning. How did you discover it?
Well, there's a little hole here, and my wife said, I think there's something there, and we just started pulling back plaster, and it was coming off really easily, and that's how we found it.
We have pictures to show of that. How long did it take to peel back all of this plaster?
Surprisingly, it was just peeled right off, but as we were doing it, the paint from the sign was coming off on my gloves that I was wearing, and I realized it was very fragile.
Did you know at the time what it was?
No, not really, just it was cool.
Just that you wanted to restore it first, see, maybe?
Not even that. You know, my sense was we were going to cover it back up, you know, once we saw it. But as we learned more about it and realized we had a little bit of a treasure here, so then we decided to restore it.
All right, sounds good. And we also want to talk to the person who helped restore this. I have Terry here. Terry, when you came in, what kind of condition was this wall in?
It was very flat looking, and it had a lot of plaster on it yet in small spots here and there, and thin plaster dust still kind of stuck to the wall, but otherwise it was flat, and it was essentially dirty due to the plaster dust.
Right, and we are standing at a certain point of this sign. Terry, you were telling me before, this part of the sign was so detailed, it was literally a pain to kind of clean. Take me through the process.
Well, yes, because we had to, because of the nature of the original paint, we had to individually, with a damp rag, clean the line. If you put a lot of water on it, you would run black right straight down the wall. And so each piece had to be individually cleaned. It's almost like Q-tip work. This one here really was Q-tip. Once these were dry, then you'd come back and individually clean the intermediate one. And so there's so much detail on this sign. This took one day just to clean it.
I want to talk about the gloss as well. What did you put on here?
Well, after we had this sign cleaned, we wanted to consolidate it, which means find a way or a liquid that would dry and hold the paint together without changing the color of the paint. And all we used was a urethane finish, a polyurethane finish. And we used high gloss because even when you use urethanes on floors, the high gloss is really tough. And so we hand applied the first coat to each individually line. Once we had one coat on the entire sign, then we could take rollers and roll it out because everything was consolidated and it wouldn't run through.
So you put a coat, protective coat on here. Is it going to last?
I guarantee it. For a long, long time, because it's inside and it's in a climate control space. And there's 3 coats of high gloss polyurethane on it, and I don't think it's ever going to go. The other thing with these signs is the mortar tends to weep unless you put a sealer on it. We call it weeping. The lime and the sand will drift off onto your floor.
Got it.
And so that's how we learned about the product that we used here, because we've had to seal interior chimneys and other things.
Well, thanks, Terry.
You're welcome.
And there's a lot more of these kinds of signs in downtown Appleton. We'll tell you where they are, where you can find them, and the history behind them coming up.
Coolest backsplash ever. Thanks, Pauleen. Again, you can find more pictures from the old Conkey's Bookstore by going to fox11online.com. Look for a link with Pauleen's story on the Good Day Wisconsin page.